Hello, people. We are recording. Welcome in. If you're new here, my name is Krista Lee, and if you're back, thanks for coming back. Yeah, let's get right into it. So, if you are new here, I had taken a little break recently, had some big life changes. So we're a little bit behind, but I say that's divine timing, baby. So yeah, October astrology is going to be a little bit of a look back. And that's okay. We're doing our best. So let's get right into it. I did a really, really deep dive last night into all of the astrology for this month, in general, but also like intuitively speaking. So I am really excited to get into this. I have a lot written down, so I might be taking some pauses here and there just to make sure I'm giving you, all that I really want to give you in this video. So, without further ado, October freaking 1st. October 1st, we had Juno enter Sagittarius. So, if you're not familiar with Juno, Juno is an asteroid, but in Greek mythology, Juno was considered the protector of women, and she was also the wife of Jupiter. So, Jupiter is the ruler of Sagittarius, and we have Juno entering Sagittarius. So I find that to be pretty powerful. But before we get into that, I do want to talk a little bit about Juno that was just in Scorpio. So I kind of want to go back to that for a moment. The past, I believe, couple months, we've had Juno in Scorpio, and especially in my opinion, during a 9-year, I found that to be very potent. Along with, when we talk about each one of these alignments, too, it's important to think about the idea, too, that, like, all of these planets and all of these signs, like, they're all working together in this, like, big collective soup. And I find it, like, okay, there's probably 8 billion people in this world, and you're never gonna find like everyone's different, right? In some way, like our DNA is all different. You know what I mean by that. But like, you're never gonna find the exact same like alignments in the sky at one time. So I just think it's really interesting to like think about the big picture as well of like how all of these things are interacting together, and how Juno and Scorpio a year from now or whenever like would look very differently than it does right now. So I kind of just want to preface this video with that, just to say like that's just something that I've really become in tune with studying astrology, is like how unique everything is from day to day. It's so beautiful. It really is. So, anywho, having Juno and Scorpio during this 9-year, this like really deep shedding of what's not serving us, I found to be pretty powerful in regard to our relationships. So you could have just went through a period, if not internally, if not only internally, you could have definitely seen these in your relationship dynamics, but it could have just been an internal experience as well. So yeah, please take what resonates and leave what doesn't, but also, yeah, I'm going to leave that there. Okay. So you could have experienced like cutting away from any power imbalances, leading you to a lot more clarity and truth around your relationships, really getting to like the root with Scorpio, really getting to like the depths of what the issues are and what's like kind of brewing underneath the surface, right? So yeah, a lot of reflections on our relationship dynamics, a lot of healing and releasing of shadows in the past couple months, really, again, getting to that root of things. And intuitively, what I was picking up on, you could have seen shifts even in your day-to-day experiences, ultimately leading to a deep clearing of energy to help you have the space to show up more. So what I mean by that is like, if there were things in your environment blocking you from really stepping into this new life, this new timeline shift that we just had, and what I mean by that is referring to like the eclipse season the eclipses we just experienced in September. I feel like that was like a huge shift for a lot of people. And I feel like Juno in Scorpio was very supportive to really helping that shift in terms of relational dynamics. And our relationship with ourselves, really addressing like the shadow within us and our relationships to really clear away what's not working. Yeah, so it could have felt a little bit like Tower moment energy, death and rebirth energy in a way. Yeah. So now we're moving into Juno in Sagittarius. Again, Sagittarius is ruled by Jupiter. And to me, this, when looking into the mythology, the Greek mythology of Juno and Jupiter and their dynamic, it often talks about how it was a lot of hard work, but the hard work made this relationship be able to function. So I find it to be kind of like a natural flow, but not something so natural that it doesn't take effort. But I find it also to be a very empowered combination, bringing a sense of freedom, expansion through action, internal growth, perception shift, and really leaning into resistance. So I think there could be this need for freedom and liberation in our relational dynamics right now. That's ultimately leading us to more internal satisfaction, which will help us to then show up better in our relationships, if that makes sense. So yeah, I think another thing to note is Juno and Sag, okay, of course, definitely cares about their freedom, their autonomy, their freedom, right? So depending on your relationships, or like if you're in a romantic relationship or not, like really, I think another big thing with this is perception. How are we perceiving this shift? Are we resisting it, or are we leaning into it? And therefore leaning into ourselves. Are there parts of ourselves that we are not wanting to lean into? So I think another thing too is steering away from like codependency at this time and really leaning into our strengths and our autonomy as individuals. So yeah, is there anything else I want to say about this before we move forward? Yeah, I think another thing too would be intellectually, I feel like there's a lot of like this need for exploration, and I find that leaning into creativity and creative projects, I think there's going to be a lot of, like liberation and freedom through exploration of yourself, of creativity, of different relationships, different people. Yeah. So I think it's a really supportive thing to note during this time period. And I don't know that all astrologers talk about Juno all too much, but I think it's important to know. So, moving forward, October 6th, we had Mercury enter Scorpio, and we also had the full moon in Aries. So I found this to be a really interesting combination of things happening on the same day. And I do think they impacted one another. So again, we talk about Scorpio. That is the depths. That is the things that are kind of hidden underneath the surface, like those really subtle energies beneath the surface, and like true depths, right? Like I'm talking the bottom of the floor in the ocean kind of vibes, right? So Mercury entering Scorpio, I think that is a really good opportunity to do some internal reflections on our feelings and being able to, one, I do think it also forces us to, well, in combination with that full moon in Aries. So how do I want to speak about this? The full moon in Aries had this tone of initiation to it, right? That fire energy, that first sign of the zodiac. And I find it so interesting that, you know, when we think about the yin yang or the dark and the light, it's like neither one is good or bad. It just is. And like when we talk about spring, summertime, the light, right? And then like the darker months that we're about to move into now. I find it so interesting. I was thinking about this as I was doing this deep dive, that we have this full moon in Aries, which is like spring, like that renewal energy, right as we're entering technically like the underworld, like the darker side of the year. So what I see that as this renewal from within, this internal renewal as we enter the dark months. I find it so like beautiful and just like duality, you know? And how, I don't know, like everything is happening all at once all the time in like such a beautiful way. But yeah, so another thing that I want to talk about is having that initiation energy and this like kind of sense of like internal renewal after a period of summer or a period of a lot of growth externally, right, in the world and internally. I feel like it's like this moment to kind of alchemize all of that and to really kind of integrate it in. And I think with that Mercury entering Scorpio, I think it also kind of forces us to a full moon illumination, right? It kind of forces us to look at the depths that we haven't looked at that might still be kind of holding us back or yeah, causing us to not fully move ahead, right? Yeah, so to kind of sum that up with a little bit more clarity, it's like we're entering the colder, shorter days, igniting internal passion, awakening parts of us. With Mercury and Scorpio, awakening the depths of our emotions, our unprocessed, unspoken, maybe even unacknowledged within ourselves. And really allowing that passion and raw emotion to arise without like fully pushing full steam ahead right away, right? That's kind of like the tension that I felt with that full moon in Aries. It's like there's all of this beautiful energy bubbling to the surface, but it's kind of still under this layer of unprocessed emotions, potentially even unprocessed rage with that Aries energy. And yeah, Scorpio really like in combination illuminating what's still in there that needs to be processed. And ultimately with Mercury and Scorpio too, if you can really transmute that energy and process those emotions, that gives you an opportunity to communicate them into your relationships in a way that is transmuted and not so emotional because you have allowed yourself to process it. So you're not like projecting things that you don't want to project on to the people you love. You know what I mean? So I like intuitively what's happening here, like in terms of the timing of the channel and like when this video is coming out. I think everything is in divine alignment. And I think, doing a little bit of a looking back at these aspects, it's like you already experienced them. So what did come up from you? From you. Yeah, what did come up from you? From your depths. But no, what came up for you? And can you kind of sit with this video and what I'm saying and see like, yeah, I did notice that. Or maybe you felt more passionate than maybe I'm describing. But it's just interesting to be able to kind of look back with me and be like, oh yeah, like this is how I was feeling, or this was this, and kind of integrate that more into your subconscious mind here. Okay, we're gonna move forward. Well, the last thing I will say is just to wrap that up. Like, yeah. So I know I already kind of said it too, but I just feel the need to say it one more time. We could have felt like a lot of like passion, right? To like want to move forward, but I think I did already say this, but like really needing to just like take a moment to process it. Maybe someone needed to hear it again. Or maybe this energy could still be lingering for you, but yeah, definitely that tension between wanting to like blast off and like get everything done and go, but actually needing to like take a moment. Especially we have like Saturn in retrograde and we have a lot of planets still in retrograde. So really an interesting energy to sit with for that moment. And I am interested to hear how these alignments showed up for y'all, if you want to comment down below. Okay, y'all, had to take a quick pause. But now that we went over the full moon in Aries and Mercury entering Scorpio, let's talk about October 13th. On October 13th, we had Venus entering Libra, exalted in Libra. This is a really powerful and beautiful energy for all of us, as it clearly affects the collective here. And we also had Pluto go direct in Aquarius. So to have these things both happen on the same day, I found to be very powerful. Pluto has been in retrograde since May. So basically has been dragging us through the underworld since May and really forcing us to face a lot of internal shadows within us to help us ultimately transform. And depending on where like Pluto is in your chart, like you could have seen, or yeah, you could feel your power returning now, in certain aspects of your life. And you could potentially look at your chart and see where it is, Pluto, where Pluto is in your chart. And well, it depends on like the degrees and stuff. But beyond that, you might be able to even just intuitively tell where you were giving your power away and how you feel it returning to you now. But yeah, basically a return of power, accessing our resources internally and potentially even externally. Because if we don't have access internally to certain resources, or we have certain mindsets blocking us, that could cause us to not be able to manifest, whatever you want to call it, in the external. Yeah. So another thing I want to note too, Pluto being a generational planet, something that I like to think about too is how we are not just walking this earth for ourselves, right? We're walking the earth for the people who've come before us. And there's a lot there, right? We're not just carrying this lifetime. We're carrying so many lifetimes before us. And I don't think it is talked about enough or given enough care and attention to how powerfully intense that can be. But especially Pluto going retrograde, I feel like we're facing really a lot of generational ties that are keeping our soul stuck in cyclical patterns, karmic loops, these experiences of lack. And it would be interesting for you, for me, to reflect on the summer since May and to really think about what internally was going on for you, and to think about your family or where you come from and how you may see those patterns in your loved ones, in your parents, and how there could be some overlap with what you were experiencing. Yeah, I kind of see, what's coming through right now for this Pluto retrograde is like this kind of sacred pause, this moment to really do some deep inner work. And it could have felt like you were just standing in place, but I promise you, most likely you were not. You were being held there for a reason. And I think a lot of what's at play is this divine timing, this divine realignment. And that's kind of what I feel with October 13th, is this kind of divine realignment. So let me just kind of read to you what I have written down to give you like the full summary and gist. But with the Pluto going direct, we have, this is empowering us to have a return of power, accessing our resources, the path opening up, the path literally reopening. Again, as we could have really felt stagnant in a lot of areas of our lives. After a period of dragging us through the underworld, forcing us to pause and lean into the internal work. So this was so necessary and needed for our soul's growth, for our resilience, for our ability to really step into our power in a deeper way, in an embodied way, and really exposing our shadows. And that is really, I think, important information if you're able to self-reflect and to really take in the lessons and, as we come out of this, kind of take a look back and be like, wow, like I really buried my head in the sand, or I, really was avoidant with this, or whatever it may be. It's important information, to say the least, to carry you forward. And so as you move through your life, you can hopefully integrate your shadow in a deeper way where it's not able to, this is the key, I think. So your shadow doesn't have so much power over you, right? I think a lot of us were shown our shadows in a way where they had more power than we did in some ways this summer. And to really see that and be able to integrate that into yourself, wow, that is potent stuff. That is powerful. That is embodying all of you, the dark, the light, and the in-between. So you can move forward, and when your shadow comes up in the future, you're able to work with it more rather than letting it take over. Does that make sense? I think that's what I want to say with this. So yeah, that feels really powerful, and definitely an emphasis on the path reopening now, which is exciting. So to talk a little bit more about Venus entering Libra. Again, I'm just kind of going to read you what I have here. A beautiful combination of planets and signs at this time, Venus and Libra, brings us back into divine, nourishing alignment. a beautifully supportive transit, bringing us back into balance, helping us to internally shift and clear away what no longer serves us. So yeah, especially with like all of this air energy, I really pick up the energy of like swords, clearing a lot of mental confusion up too, and rebalancing and cutting away with anything like the Page of Swords energy. If you've ever seen that, it's like the clouds are kind of clearing away and they have the sword and they're able to like kind of see what's going on now from a clearer perspective. And again, like let's consider too what I said earlier about all of these things are kind of working together in this astrological soup, if you want to call it that. And yeah, intuitively I feel like all these things are unique in this exact moment in time. But yeah, a very supportive energy to us at this time, and seeing ourselves in the light and helping us to really surrender to see ourselves more clearly and others, to show up in our careers and relationships more embodied, awakening us and moving us forward with both that combination of Pluto and, Pluto going direct and Venus entering Libra. I think this is just like such a supportive and lovely energy. After, I think, a year of a lot of deep inner work, right? And shedding and releasing. Yeah. So Venus entering Libra, Venus exalted in Libra, that is like, lean into that energy, lean into that beauty. Lean into the light that surrounds you. Yeah. Okay. Let's keep going. Let me get a little sip of water. All right. Give me 1 second. Okay. Ooh, I'm so excited to talk about these things. Okay. So we have a new moon in Libra. Now we're kind of looking ahead. We just did kind of a look back at what has already happened, and now we're going to get into the future. October 21st, we have the new moon in Libra. So, again, with that Libra energy, this justice energy, this swords energy, I get this sense of clarity and vision and like mental focus. And obviously an emphasis on our relationships, to ourselves, to others. So, it is a moment of alchemization, renewal in the emotional body. And I say this because it is a new moon. The moon, if we look in our charts, right, it represents our moods and emotions. What makes us feel safe. And I happen to have a Libra moon. But the having a new moon in Libra at this time really does feel like this alchemization of everything that we have gone through, and really this renewal again in the emotional body, this realignment. And I think it is really supportive to this new moon to have that extra energy of Venus in Libra as well. But really utilizing your personal autonomy in communication to communicate clearly where you stand in relationships, clearing away imbalances in relationships to bring renewal into existing supportive relationships. And careers and work situations, and again, your relationship with yourself. And the reason that I feel there is this emphasis on kind of our communication is like having Mercury in Scorpio too with a new moon in Libra. I feel like is this opportunity to, again, like we talked about earlier, having that ability to get really clear about how you feel and what you need, and really like transmuting that into integration, like within yourself, really being able to like authentically understand how you feel so that you can show up clearly in relationships, and at work and for yourself. So I find during this time that there is this emphasis on needing to really understand yourself in a deeper way. And I do feel with this new moon in Libra that there is this opportunity to just get clear. I keep getting this swords energy. Just like get really clear on how you mentally feel, how you feel in your relationships to others. Because when you can get clear, I think this is a really important when working with Libra in general too. When you can get really clear on how you feel, I think that's a necessary step in interacting with like Librian energy, because at times Libra can put aside how they feel because they care. Their natural essence is to really create balance and harmony within all things of life. So that can be a double-edged sword, because if you are only caring about, I don't want to say it like that. If you're caring to create harmony and balance, right, then there could be this space, right, for you to throw away how you feel and to not acknowledge how you feel, which isn't clarity or balance, right? So I think it's important that we take that new moon in Libra to get really clear about how we're feeling, especially if we're dealing with any relationship issues or needing to rebalance any relationships. Clarity is really needed here. Yes. Anything else I want to say about that? No, not at this time. It will be interesting to see what comes up for people, though. I will say we could have some old relationships surfacing to create that balance if, you know, you're taking space from people, or there's been imbalances in friendships or something along those lines. Like those things might work themselves out in this new moon in Libra energy, from a place of justice. So really beautiful energy here. Okay, next we have Neptune retrograde entering Pisces. This is a big one that I love to talk about. I find it super powerful. So let's talk about it. Sorry. So I kind of want to go back a little bit just to give you some information before I keep moving forward. From September 14th to October 22nd, okay? So we're coming up on October 22nd. We had Aries at about 0 degrees, right? So, in my study of astrology, I found that this moment, right, Neptune retrograde, often is the unveiling of illusions. Excuse me, sorry. And having it in Pisces to me is like the unveiling of illusions through surrender, right? Really needing to trust the process and surrender to the divine and the universe. So that's what we're moving into. Sorry, I had a cough. I didn't want to like cough in your ear. Okay. So now let's talk about Neptune retrograde entering Pisces. I love talking about this because it's just so powerful to me, and we also have a lot going on with like Saturn and Chiron, which I think I'll talk about a little bit, but okay, let's just keep going. So with this Neptune retrograde, it's been going on for quite some time, and I want to do a little bit of a look back, as I've done in the other videos, to kind of explain to you the process of what's unfolding here. So from September 14th to October 22nd, we had Neptune in retrograde in Aries at about 0 degrees. So this was really revealing to us what is blocking us from fully stepping into this new life, internally and externally. Neptune, when it's in retrograde, it's really like this unveiling of illusions, seeing things more clearly. And so I feel like during this time, the last about a little over a month, really being faced with reality to make a shift, slowly building passion sustainably. And I want to say that that influence, I feel like, is from Saturn's retrograde. So it's like all of these combination of things working together, right? In a way. And I feel like, so Neptune kind of unveiling these illusions and being like, oh my gosh, like this is what I need to do to get here from point A to point B, like, and kind of giving us Saturn, helping us to like rework and recreate that, like basically crumble anything that's not working, right? And rebuild slowly for it to really flourish. So, for example, right, I moved, I took a break from this channel, and now I am rebuilding slowly, but with my whole heart and with patience and with a lot of less pressure. And those are where I'm seeing these influences in my own life, right? So I can create something sustainable and long lasting. So we could have been trying to, we already had the vision, right? We already see kind of where we want to go, but it's like we're kind of just trying to run to point B without actually doing the work required underneath the surface, creating the space, creating the internal space or the external space for these shifts to really flourish in the 3D world, right? So I think that's what was going on from September 14th to October 22nd with Neptune retrograde in Aries at 0 degrees. What is Aries in 0 degrees is like this start energy, right? It is the first sign of the zodiac at 0 degrees. But when it's retrograde, it's like, okay, what's stopping us from fully stepping into this, right? And we're still retrograding. So there's still some things that need to get cleared up. And that's what we're about to talk about. Anything else? So I guess the only thing I'll also note is like with Saturn in retrograde in Pisces, I find that to be very interesting. I have written down when it is in, hold on one second. So Saturn will go direct on November 27th of this year. And then it will enter Aries in February. So I think we're going to collectively, I've been saying this, we'll be seeing a lot of movement forward from January to February of 2026, which makes a lot of sense because, right, we are in a 9-year of transmuting literally lifetimes of energy, shedding karmic cycles, karmic loops that we have been stuck in for quite some freaking time. Basically, for a lot of people this year, this is like a melting of our old identity, like becoming the cocoon, becoming goo, and then transforming out of that goo into a butterfly. So I just love that we see a lot of this like movement forward energy right at the beginning of 2026, which is 10, like the year equals 10 or 1. So we go from a 9 to the 10, which is like new beginnings, this fresh energy. So it feels hopeful and very exciting for us. But the only other thing I wanted to say about kind of, I guess, Saturn would be that I find it really interesting to have a planet in Pisces. Pretty much any planet in Pisces, but having Saturn in retrograde in Pisces I find very interesting because it's like Saturn is very structured and very like related to Capricorn, right? Like is doing the 3D work to get us from point A to point B. But to have it in retrograde in Pisces, it's like helping us create foundations in ways we might not think are even possible. And they're definitely not like linear thinking. So really already, like I think the rest of this year is just an emphasis, a deep emphasis on divine trust and surrender and really allowing things to slowly play out, really leaning into that Saturn energy, right? Letting yourself build slowly. And even taking it to like the day to day, like, are you getting up in the morning? Are you working out? Are you getting sunlight in your eyes? Are you drinking water before you have your coffee? Like, are you eating before you have coffee? Like, things like that. Like, are you taking care of yourself? And yeah, now I'm going on a tangent, but I just like love these aspects. So Neptune in Pisces at 29 degrees. That's what we're moving into. Neptune retrograde in Pisces at 29 degrees. So that means Neptune is in retrograde. It's appearing to move backwards over this 29th degree. The 29th degree is an anaretic degree, so it's a very karmic degree in the last sign of the zodiac, which is also a very technically karmic sign. It is an accumulation of all the signs. So it's like a deep wrapping up of everything that is not serving us. And I also see it as just this like seriously like divine surrender, trust, like not seeing the steps in front of you, but literally just trusting your inner guidance and your inner compass throughout this process, and trusting the universe and that your guides are really leading you in a new direction here. But what I called it was the internal space, the sacred gift, the cocoon, from October 22nd to December 10th. I think this is going to be a really, really deeply sacred moment for us, to kind of allow the divine to unveil the illusions and to really open up this new world for us in a very beautiful, divine, feminine kind of way, where we're hands off. We are allowing this to unveil itself, with ease, with peace in our souls and our hearts and our minds, allowing ourselves to really Oh, I'm getting emotional. Allowing ourselves to really just trust. Like, especially if you've done a lot of work over this year or you've really moved yourself into a new point and you've been working towards your goals. Like, at this point, I feel like it is this moment to really just kind of allow. Give yourself the grace to allow and to slow down. I just like, I think it's so cool because I wrote this like months ago about these placements and now like I'm like in it and I'm experiencing it myself. So it's so fun to just see it all kind of unfolding as it is. And for me personally, like September 14th to October 22nd was exactly what I said it would be in the previous videos of this moment to really confront what is blocking us. Is it our environment? Is it our friendships? Is it our romantic relationships? Is it our boss? Like what needs to go? What needs to shift? What needs to change so that we can really create the necessary space to heal, to open up, to shine our light as brightly as possible, to really embody all that we are. What needs to go? What needs to be moved around? So yeah, and now on October 22nd, we're gonna enter into this more less action oriented and more sacred space, sacred internal moment to really get clear through this divine unfoldment in deep surrender. So this is kind of what came through when I wrote this, so I'll read it to you. Strength, think, immerse, and perception all came through. So which is really interesting. Like, I feel like this is a very immersive experience. We really need to, like, kind of move out of the thinking brain and really just have trust in that divine strength within us. And this will all be about perception. Are you going to allow yourself to trust and to really lean into your intuition at this time? Or are you going to get kind of caught up in illusions or fantasy? I don't really think Neptune in retrograde in Pisces will allow you to do that. I think if anything, some illusions may be crushed. And it's all about your perception on that. So, and if that's the case, you really need to know, like, look back at your life when other illusions have kind of come crumbling down, whether that was about a person or a job or whatever it was in your life. How did that end up playing out for the better for you in the end? So trying not to, like, if anything does want to leave your life, really, it's all about your perception with that. So let me read what else I wrote here. This is the in-between, the sacred cocoon. Let it hold you and reveal to you magic. Feel into your intuition. This is all about perception. Lean into the reality that is yours, not what isn't. Lean into the magic in front of you, aligning with masculine and feminine energies, the union of these energies within us, and aligning with the present moment. Let the magic unfold. Super potent stuff here. Yeah. And stay tuned for next month and we'll talk about, well, I'm not done yet, but next month we'll talk about how that's all unfolding. And then in December, we'll talk about what's next for Neptune. Okay. Now we have a little bit left. Not too much. I'm going to get a sip of water. Okay. On October 23rd, we have the sun entering Scorpio. So, death season beginning. When the veil is thin, Really a powerful, powerful death season we are about to enter. Especially, again, being in a 9-year. I think this is the moment, right? The turning point where kind of all of this deep work that we've done all year, really releasing illusions, really breaking out of karmic cycles, really stepping into ourselves and embodying ourselves in a way that we've never experienced before. This is like identity shifting for a lot of us. Really embodying more of our truths authentically, with that influence of Pluto in Aquarius. And oh, I got chills on that. And just a lot of this movement with Neptune and Saturn, and again, being in a 9-year, the year of the snake, like really transformative stuff we're having here. And we did have a 999 portal last month when I was kind of on my little hiatus from YouTube. And that was also extremely powerful, which I didn't even like notice until after it happened. And I was like, wow, like that was something there. So yeah, a lot of transformation. What I get with this, the sun entering Scorpio with this season we're about to enter, I get a lot of, sorry, my throat's kind of like scratchy today. I don't know. The seasons are changing. Like talking really. Anyways, I get this like Empress, High Priestess, like Justice, Ace of Swords energy of just like the final Phoenix moment. This moment where we have done all this work and our light, our true authenticity is really going to start to be revealed in a deep way. A deep sense of internal union and really embodying all that you are. And really this like deep shedding, right? This deep release of anything that is not aligning with this new life that we are stepping into. So what I have written down here is entering a season of death and transformation in a 9-year, entering the underworld. I believe this season will bring us into our deepest strength and opportunity to lean into our deepest authenticity. I also wrote Empress, High Priestess, Justice, Ace of Swords. Like really just clear truth. Like what you see is what you get kind of thing. And I think there is going to be this sense of calm that kind of overcomes us as like we did all of this deep work and now it's like we're going to start to see some of the rewards coming in now. Yeah, strength, energy, achieve, cultivate, and really step into deep integration of self. That's another big thing that I noticed from the beginning of the year to now is like, I don't know about y'all, please put in the comments down below, like what's going on for you. I want to know. But for me in the beginning of the year, I felt very like compartmentalized within myself, like not fully integrated into all of who I am. And slowly but surely, like this year has really pushed me to integrate all of myself, like what we were talking about with Pluto, really forcing me to like face my shadows and to honor how I feel. Yeah, so I'll continue here. Step into deep integration of self, the unionization of self during this sacred internal space. That is the sacred gift. That is the sacred gift, is stepping into ourselves fully so that we can then align with what is meant for us. Our mission, our purpose, our path, relationships, careers, whatever it may be. Truth revealed on a soul level, snakes shedding, the integration of the year of the 9. Ugh, that is so powerful. That gives me chills. Okay. Yeah, powerful stuff here. Something to note, we do have Jupiter square Chiron on 1023 as well. So this could bring up some tension between emotional safety and internal autonomy. I don't think it's going to be anything crazy, but it's just something to pay attention to. And try to communicate from try to review how you feel before communicating if there's any conflict that comes up that day. And that's all I'm going to really say about that. But yeah, we do have Chiron retrograde, and for it to square with Jupiter, I just get the sense, because it's in Aries, Chiron is retrograde in Aries, I just get the sense that something around our internal power, our wounds, could come up. But I don't think it's going to be anything too crazy. All right. And the last thing we're going to talk about is Mercury entering Sagittarius on October 29th. So I find this to be pretty interesting because I feel like we're in Scorpio season. We just had Mercury in Scorpio. Well, we will be. And I get this, it's like this sense of trying to kind of like bring a little bit more excitement into our communication, into our life, like after kind of a very transformative period. So I feel like it will be supportive and feel good, but I think it might like, and this is just like fully intuitive, I feel like it might be a little like clunky in the beginning. But ultimately I think like, I just think we're in such like a sensitive like time frame with like, not sensitive, but like Mercury in Scorpio, or I mean the sun in Scorpio, I get like the little tail like stinger, you know. And Sagittarius, Mercury in Sag can be very like truth oriented, blunt at times. So I feel like there could be some tension just in like the sense of like bluntness can come off as insensitivity, and then the Scorpio could like whack back at that. But yeah. But ultimately I think it's gonna really bring some more passion, some more fire into our communication, and yeah, kind of activate us while we're kind of still in like this like little healing internal era, if that makes sense. So maybe just like think a little bit before communicating. Yeah, and that's all I really want to say about that. Okay, before we end the reading, I want to pull a couple cards for the month of October. So let's do it. And I'm actually going to read you the card. I'll read you both of them. We'll pull 3 cards from my Oracle decks. So this one is called the Phoenix cards. Of course, honoring Scorpio season. I would love to pull one card from here. And then I'm going to pull from my archetypal deck. Ah. Oh, the Warrior. Wow. Okay. And let's pull from this one too, and then I'll read them to you. This one's so cool. So the energy for October for the collective. Let's see. Ooh. Alessia. it has kind of yin-yang energy here. So let's read them. Well, let's pull one more. This is called the Human Spirit Oracle deck. I've used it in a few readings now, so you might have seen them before, but they're so pretty. I love them. Okay. Let's pull one of these. It's too many. Okay, this one fell out, so we'll take this. Eat your words. Interesting. Eat your words, the warrior, and Alethea. Let's read them. For some reason, I want to start with the human spirit, even though that was the last card we pulled. I feel the need to read that one first. Hangry? Well, you better taste those words before you consume them. Sometimes all sorts of things come out of people's mouths. Maybe you think being snarky or rude is cute or funny, but here is the real. You never know what someone is going through. Everyone is going through something that is relative to them. And we never know quite how they will digest our words. A kind word can go a long way in the era of Karen and Ken. I don't know what that means. So does those words in sugar if you intend on eating them. Bitter words can make you cocky and gag. That is so interesting because we literally just ended with talking about Mercury and Sagittarius, and that's exactly what I was trying to get at, is that it's important to kind of just be mindful about how we talk during that time. So, and I was feeling a little bit like not sure how to explain that. So that just felt very validating to, I think it's going to be really important to be mindful of how we're communicating at the end of October into November. So thank you for that, Spirit. Let's look at the Warrior. Did I show you this one? Let me show you this one just in case I didn't. Eat your words, and then the Warrior. Baddie. Okay. Let's look at it. The Warrior. The Warrior card can encourage you to unleash your inner strength. It can give you the power to stand firm in the face of life challenges and claim your right to a fulfilling life. Go out into the world, pursue your goals, and fight for what you believe in, not just for yourself, but for others too. This dweller of the inner world symbolizes your inner struggle for personal growth and self-realization and the determination to answer your call. This archetype asks you to overcome your fears, face challenges, and take your place in the world. If you have ever in your life had to draw on strength within you that you had no idea was there, then you have met your inner warrior. This archetype of your inner world should live in balance with your inner queen or king. A warrior of light is led by a mature queen or king who sets clear goals and acts responsibly. You encounter this archetype in the shadows when you lose control of your emotions. We can hurt and shame others with our words or actions in such moments when we allow ourselves to be overwhelmed by anger or unprocessed feelings. Oh my God. We become insensitive to other people's pain. Then we believe that we can only defend our boundaries with violence or indirect aggression or kept up in pointless power struggles without serving a good cause. But we allow ourselves to be paralyzed by our doubts and don't fight when it's necessary. Sometimes we vacillate between impulsive and aggressive fighting and feeling of despondency and self-destruction. Then it is time to heal our emotional world. May this card help you choose your battle wisely to bring light into the world and ultimately create peace. So I think this is a lot of what I was talking about with Juno in Scorpio, and just like everything that we went through over the summer. And now it's time to really clear away and focus your energy, like really titrate your energy in a way where you are focusing on things that are nourishing you and helping you grow, and relationships that are supportive to you. Yay! So that feels good to me. And last one, we have Aletheia. So let's read that aloud. The initiations. 221. Nearly the last page. Okay, Aletheia. Truth. Picasso said, "We all know that art is not truth. Art is a lie that makes us realize truth, at least the truth that is given us to understand." I don't know how I feel about that. But anyways, our soul recognizes the truth. When someone speaks it, a cool wave of relief washes over the room, and all the facts and figures in the world fall by the wayside. Such is the power of Aletheia. It has an undeniable resonance that goes beyond the rational. We can also recognize Aletheia by its contagiousness. When we hear someone speak the truth, we see the truth within ourselves and are more likely to tell our own story. The Aletheia card requires us to step toward an act of truth. This might look like a conversation, a gesture, a poetic act, or a ritual that honors the unveiling of what's been concealed. Reclaiming your own truth is a way to reclaim your vital energy, health, and sense of belonging in the world. Truth has its own wings. Set it free. So I think that is the overall theme with... I think this is just like a little hint at the Mercury in Sagittarius at the end of the month. But both of these, the Warrior and Aletheia, I feel like it's really important, again, to really take care of your energy, conserve your energy for what matters, and to not engage in anything that was really draining to you from the past. And also to really embody your own truth, which I think will really, again, be revealed to us in Scorpio time, our own inner truth. And the more that each one of us can embody our authentic selves and really come to honor and love ourselves, and speak with authenticity, speak honestly, move with integrity. I don't want to go too deep, but basically, like, the more we can become ourselves and just be authentic in that and walk the talk, the more that we shine the light and also give permission to other people to do the same and to shine their lights and to be all of who they are. Yeah, I think that's really beautiful. And I also just want to say, like, not everyone has to like you. Not everyone has to be in your corner for you to be authentic. It's actually the opposite of that. And that's okay. Like, not everyone has to be best friends. And I think really just honoring your own truth and your own intuition. And yeah, I'm just so excited. I feel like it's going to feel really clearing and profound and enlightening for all of us. And I hope that, creates more harmony within us and within our communities and within our friend groups, the more that the month goes on and all of these kind of dynamics start to play out. Sending everyone so much love and light, and I hope you're able to find a message here today. And I'm so glad to be back. And keep an eye out for your zodiac sign readings. We're just going to do one reading for this month of October, and then we'll see about November. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to them. And yeah, if you enjoyed this video, please feel free to like, subscribe, share, send to people. And if you made it this far, you're freaking awesome. I love you. Okay. Have a good rest of your month. Please let me know how it goes down in the comments if you feel so inclined to do so. Okay. All right. I'll hang up now. Okay. Bye.